Hi guys, and welcome to another video. So as you can tell, I have changed the place that I'm filming. I thought I'd just mix it up a little, and somebody in the comments last time was like, your room looks really messy, you could have at least tidied up. And so I thought this is probably a safe option. It looks fairly clean, I don't know, I think it looks a bit better than last time, hopefully. Can I also just say a massive thank you for all your comments and really sweet messages from last week's video and the video before that. Honestly, it's really scary putting like a video on the student room compared to like my own audience. They're very, like, it's a small audience and I kind of know what they like and all that kind of stuff. So putting a video where the audience is much bigger, much more varied, it's really nerve-wracking. So those kind of messages really do make me happy and feel like I'm doing it right. So thank you so much for that. And don't forget, I have my own channel, Bit of a Fangirl, where I just do lots and lots of random videos. And recently I uploaded a video where I'm basically talking about my GCSE results. So I know some of you are going to find that quite interesting, so do go over and check that out. Today's video is going to be some revision tips, which I suppose could be used for most subjects. Like, I know somebody asked me tips for science, and yes, these are to do with science, but I suppose now that I think about it, they could be used for any subjects. On my own channel, I will be filming a video on some tips for English GCSE, or because that's kind of what I did. These tips could be used for any GCSE and any A-level subject. And so yeah, I do hope this helps you guys. So for me, when it comes to revision, I have three kind of steps to my revision and three stages which kind of hopefully get me to the good grade and make me really prepared and moderately feeling less, like just feeling less nervous before an exam, because I think that's what helps. So the first step is definitely notes. I know some people are like, notes aren't helpful. Some people, I know if they make notes a few months before the exam, they won't use it because they need new notes, which is fair enough. Some people find notes really messy, so they spend hours and hours on it, making it look all neat and colourful. And I think the way that I see it with notes, it's very much a personal thing. It's very much up to you, see what works, see what doesn't work. Like, I have some friends who love flashcards, and before every exam come in like with a bunch of flashcards. And you know, some people's are like super colourful, some are like laminated, some are really short and snappy, some loads and loads of detail. For me personally, flashcards just don't work. Like, I use them, but I'm not very good at arts and crafts, I'm very lazy, so they come out really scrappy and they just don't look very good, and I don't know, they're not really helpful for me. I know for some people love it, and for me not so much. So what I would say is just find what works for you. Personally for me, it's just writing down notes and notes and notes from like your exercise book, from your textbook, from revision guides, from online. Notes just summarised. That just works so well for me. Like 2 days I think it was, I had a biology exam, and before the exam I had made about 8 sides worth of notes, which some people might be like, that's a bit excessive, but the amount of content that was there, it was like an end of chapter test, there was lots and lots of content. And for me that works just really well, just doing like mini mind maps. And you know, occasionally I might use a red pen or a highlighter. I tend to, if you look at my notes, you would see lots and lots of like arrows, just like, and lots of symbols that make sense to me, probably not to anyone else, but if it works for me, it works for me. And so that's the way that I see it. Find something that works for you and just make those notes or flashcards or, you know, whatever works best for you really. Just make sure you have the essential knowledge there and the things that you're gonna get you the marks really. Another really good revision technique for me is explaining it, and this, I suppose this works if you're someone who likes to talk a lot. I like to talk a lot. I like to use my hands a lot excessively, and I like to act and all of this kind of stuff, so that helps with this kind of technique. And it's basically, if I'm feeling really lazy and I'm like, I don't want to be writing out a 6 marker, but I'm going through a paper or just asking myself if I know something, the way that I do it is I'm sitting in my bed usually, and I've got it out in front of me, and instead of writing it, I act as if someone's in front of me and I'm teaching it to them. And it's a really weird thing. You probably look and sound really weird doing it and really strange, but it's helpful and it works. So, because the way that I see it, if you can understand something and you can teach it to someone, you've got it down. You know, if you can teach it to someone in so much detail, and you have those points, then technically you can do that in an exam and you can hopefully do quite well. So that's definitely a revision technique that I would advise you guys to use. I know for some people it just wouldn't work and they prefer to write things down. For me, I can get lazy, and so just pretending someone's in front of me and explaining it and saying the different points, like how I'm doing, to a camera, that for me just works really well. Part 2, or stage 2, is past papers. Past papers are your best friend. Whether you're doing your GCSEs or your A-levels or whatever exam, past papers are just brilliant. For me, there's no point, just do them kind of thing, because the way that past papers just tick every single box for me. You're practicing your timekeeping skills, you're getting to understand the style of the question, understand what they want, you have the mark scheme. Although the context of every question, each year is going to vary, sometimes it's so-and-so does an experiment, so sometimes it's another person, but at the end of the day, what they're asking, what the exam board are asking is, it stays the same, and what they want you to say stays the same. There are those key points that you've got to say each and every time, and so for me, past papers are just brilliant for it. I remember last year for my geography exam, I had a massive folder. Everyone did. It was just, it was just packed with worksheets and notes. But then when it came to the exam, I didn't look at my folder once. I just went on and I just did past paper after past paper after past paper. And when it came to questions that I didn't know, I would just write notes on it and keep going. And the things that I did know, I just assumed and hoped that they would stay there for the exam. And yeah, if I was missing out on detail, I would look at the mark scheme. What is it that they want me to say? Look at the type of question. Is it a describe, a state, an explain, an analyze? What is it that they're wanting? And then you know what you want to say, and you know what they want you to say, and it just works. So for me, if you don't use past papers, you are seriously not helping yourself. If past papers weren't there, I probably would have done a lot worse. And I still use them for A-levels. I use it for every subject that I'm doing. I use it for maths, biology and chemistry. And definitely past papers, brilliant tool and resource to use. Final step and stage is the thing that I would do sort of a few days or a few hours before your exam, and that is look at the specification. For me, the specification is just, once again, your best friend. It's the way that I see it is the exam board are only allowed to ask you things on that specification. So as long as you know everything on that specification, technically you can't do very badly, right? It makes sense. So what I usually do is once I've done all my revision, made all my notes, then I've done my past papers, added to my notes, and then I go into my specification and I go down, I scroll down, I'm usually on my laptop, and I'm like, where are the things that I don't know? Where are the bits where there are gaps? And I'm a bit I wouldn't be able to say that in the exam, I don't know how to explain that. That's the thing that I would look over. And hopefully, an hour or whatever to your exam, go over that specification, and if you've got that nailed, I would say you can get at least 80%, 70% if you know everything in your specification. That's the way, and although I would say definitely, the specification sometimes summarises something really briefly in a sentence, so make sure they know that enzymes are this, or make sure they know this process, and make sure you do go and learn that process. You don't just know that one line. Make sure you're does that make sense? Just make sure you know everything in your specification and you will be pretty fine, kind of thing. Those are my 3 tips. So make your notes whatever way works best for you, whether that's watching videos or using textbooks, whatever works for you, do that. Do your past papers again and again and again. If I have lots and lots of time, what I tend to do is I will do all 20 past papers, and then I'll go ahead and do them all over again. And some people might be like, that's a waste of time, or you've already done it, but you won't remember it. And hopefully you'll do better a second time, and that will show that you understand it better. And finally, specification. And those are my 3 tips in terms of doing your revision well and doing your revision efficiently. And hopefully those things should get you the grade that you want, whether you're in GCSE or in A-level. I hope this video has been helpful for you guys. As I said earlier, don't forget to check out my own videos on my channel Bit of a Fangirl, where I have posted my GCSE results, and I shall be posting tips on how to do well in English GCSE. And yes, I do hope you guys enjoyed this video, and don't forget to follow me on Twitter, which is @_MnishaP, for random thoughts that I have, or on Instagram, which is a bit more kind of like things that I'm doing outside of YouTube, which is also @BitOfAFangirl. So yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I shall see you next week. Bye!